You know, there's been a lot of talk about the next Fed chair, how close it is, how long the process is. I'm going to give you the best breakdown I can, the most recent breakdown of the now 11 candidates for the head of the FOMC. First, we'll give the obvious, and that is the two Kevins. Director of National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, who you see on air a lot, and then Kevin Warsh, a former Fed governor, who gave an interview a couple weeks ago that was extremely impressive. Then let's get the dissenters. Michelle Bowman, the Fed Vice Chair for Supervision, and Fed Governor Christopher Waller. Remember, those are the two that dissented at the last Fed meeting. Then we get Fed Vice Chair Philip Jefferson, an obvious candidate to move up the ranks. Mark Summerlin, economic advisor during the Bush administration, is a recent candidate. Lori Logan, Dallas Fed president, is now in the running. James Bullard, former St. Louis Fed president, now currently on staff at Purdue University running the School of Business there. He's an interesting candidate. Then Larry Lindsey, the former Fed governor. There's another choice. And then the last two to come in, chief market strategist for Jefferies, David Zervos, and chief investment officer for global fixed income at BlackRock, Rick Reeder. Now, Scott Bessent will be interviewing all these candidates. It's not going to be a short-term process. You're not going to get someone in the next week or so. It's going to take some time as they go through 11 candidates, and then he will drop off the final names. He'll whittle them down and then drop off the final names for President Trump. I wouldn't expect this in the coming days or weeks. It's going to take a little longer than I think, but I think the most impressive candidates are obviously Christopher Waller, who is shown to be a true great economist looking at the overall economy. Kevin Warsh, the former Fed governor, who gave an interview where he gave a really modern day look at interest rates and what they were. And then I think James Bullard, the ex-St. Louis Fed, who was never afraid to go against the grain and against the normal thought when he was more hawkish than other people and then more dovish than other people. So there's the 11 candidates. There's my three favorites.